was a Pay It Forward goat project. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. You know, what I do is I go over there to Nepal and I gather up women in a village that are agreeable to it, and they have to be in all of the different castes that they operate in, and there are 4 castes. And then what we do is we agree to a very few things, but I give them 2 pregnant females, obviously they're females, but anyway, pregnant goats that are healthy, and then from that they create commerce. So paying it forward means that after 2 years, or up to 2 years, they have the opportunity to use one of the goats that they have bred, or they can sell their offspring and purchase a healthy pregnant female. And I just have a requirement. I have very few requirements or strings attached, but you will all work together is what I tell them. We know that united we stand, divided we fall. Here's a nation that has not stood on its own for over 5,000 years, so they've never been occupied by anyone, but that's accidental. They have nothing anybody wants. But they are lovely people, so I wish for them nothing short of what we all have as well. And if there's anything wrong with the Western world, it is that we're not stupid and we're not uncaring. We care, but we're too busy with our own lives to even recognize the pain and the suffering that truly is going on. And in that suffering, guess what happens? A great deal of trafficking, infanticide, add to that terrorism. And my intention is to not just feed people, which they don't eat the goats, by the way. I know you'll get there and ask, but they don't eat the goats. They use them as they breed them, they sell them, they keep the money. The goats live in the house and they pretty much become a pet. And the females are certainly kept and sold for even more money than the general male. So women are very important there, even in goats.
Rosalind, tell us a little bit more about the infanticide and the trafficking.
Infanticide, for those of us that don't know, and it was shocking to me to realize that infanticide exists in our world, but infanticide is killing of children at birth, usually in China and in Nepal and some of the more remote areas than I work in. It is still done because a female is not valued. A chicken has much more value than a female.
Wow.
And trafficking, we have all heard a great deal about it, and it is a very sad thing that is taking place in a variety of countries in our world, and it infects us in that we're sending children off, we're slave laboring them, and it's sexual behavior that is required of them. If they should, as a female child gets pregnant, they'll release her, get rid of her, and she may be damaged from birthing because she will be as young as 8 years old, or young, as young as a child can be at getting pregnant. It's a terrible thing that is in our world, and many countries support it without realizing they do, and we are one of the countries. Go down to Tijuana and tell me you can't find the child you want at any age.
Wow.
So it's not just in Nepal, but those are things that we're able to prevent over there, and there are many agencies working with other countries to do prevention of it, as we should. We all need to look at it hard and heavy. We know that it's a horrible thing to do to a child.
And how do you deal with that when you're over there?
Educating them by taking people out of poverty. You bring them to a level that education becomes the next step. By education, who would want to kill their child? Who would want to do that? And the women will kill the children. The grandmothers and the mothers and such will kill their own children, but so will the fathers. And we've heard about it in Africa, where they just leave them in the in the wilds, and an animal will chew them up. So preventing them from doing it is by bringing them out of poverty and educating them to let them know that the women are valuable. Our program is valuable because we're teaching every woman to be a businesswoman. And when they get a little bit of money in their hands, what are they going to do? Go out and buy a new sari? I think not. Actually, what they're going to do is go, my children need an education. My children need clothing. These children are wearing clothing that we wouldn't use as rags. They are very poor. They might have 2 missing shoes if they have a shoe. And usually they're flip-flops. It's amazingly poverty-stricken. I am flipped out, blown away, and surprised with what I continue to see. And it hasn't improved exactly. Our programs are improving things, and I see that change.
How is the program helping? What is the kinds of changes that you do see because of the program?
I've seen their villages actually get cleaner. I've seen the women talk to each other. Now, with the caste system, they don't talk. The Brahmins wouldn't talk to a Dunwar or a Dalit, let alone an ethnic minority. However, they will now speak to one another because they work together. That's the requirement. You will work together or no goats. It's really that simple.
It's really incredible.
It is.
Now, the goats, I'm kind of curious. What do the goats eat when they're there? And how, if they're so poor, can they afford to feed the goats?
And the women, again, it's the women generally, they go out into the fields and they gather in the food that they eat. They do not eat supreme diets. So producing healthy, continuous goats in production, breeding them, it has been very challenging. However, our mortality rate of goats is very slim. We have one village that's giving us a little more grief, and they are the one that still signs their name with a thumbprint. We have more education to do with them. But how it helps is that they can sell the goats, create the money, they can do a business. All they have to do is be responsible to pass 2 goats on. A goat breeds 2 to 10 goats a year.
Wow.
They have 2 goats. They can sell them for whatever the market demand happens to be. And since I began in 2003, the prices have gone up more than 20%.
Oh, wow.
And I have my goat gatherers that are just genuinely connected to what we're doing, helping us and not bringing their prices up, and still not taking advantage of the other villagers that they go pounding on their door. Do you have a goat for sale that we can use for our village work?
Let's talk just a little bit about how, here in America, how people help with your program there. If I understand it correctly, people give you donations here, and you pay goat herders over there to get you goats.
Yes.
And then the goats are taken to the villages, the poorest villages.
They are. That is exactly what we do. We get goat herders, goat gatherers that are very aware. They're not veterinarians, but boy, they know what goat's pregnant. They know what goat age they happen to be. And they brought us cherry type of females, and they were so pregnant that they were picking them up and they were birthing. And the very day that we delivered goats, the following day I was actually there witnessing the birthing of one and helping, like they needed my help, but I was still there. So our goat gatherers do the gathering. We're not allowed, I suppose I could buy goats here, but they wouldn't live in their terrain as well.
Yes.
And it would be another agricultural monster to have to go over and above. And as it is, working with their government has been very challenging, but they have assisted us. As, for instance, my first gathering of goats, which primarily Laguna Beach, through our community newspaper advertising my activities, presenting me, the 89 goats at $125 each, I was able to go over there and I bought 204 goats. And that includes the breeders, and that includes setting up microfinancing for each group, of which, again, I get nothing from. All the money that they can create and make stays in their little pot of money. My intention is that the individual groups can make choices. Do we need running water? We'll bring it in. Do we need a school? We'll build it. Do we need better books for our children? Because actually, generally the villages right now that I'm working with have schools, but I'm working with one right now in building a school. And so we're bringing in books, and we're bringing in water, and we have to have a kitchen for it, and very crude, rudimentary type of desks are provided, and a chalkboard, and yet these children are very smart, very willing to learn. And
so you've started a school there too.
We're in the process of doing that. We've run into a few snags. I'd like to say it's sailed through and been like a hot knife and butter, but it has not been. It's been challenging, but every challenge we are meeting, and have no discouragement on it. We're just going forward the best that we can.
Wow, that's really terrific. And so people here at home can help your program by buying goats?
They can buy goats. They can, if they don't have the entire amount for a goat, they can buy whiskers. They could just, know that what they're doing is going to a group that will be effectively affected, that will change their life. And when we change their lives, we're changing our lives.
If any of you would like to help with Rosalind's program, or have Rosalind come and speak to your organization or at your event, she can be reached at the R Star Foundation, and this is a number that you can call.
949-497-2545.
That's it.
And I'll probably be the one answering, because this is a grassroots one-woman show with assistance from time to time.
And we thank you very much for talking with us tonight,
Oh,
Rosalind.
thank you so
And
much.
so, we wish you so much continued success with the program. We're very proud of you and so happy that you were willing to speak with us tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.